And here we go. Another edition of Rock Talk right here on CGCM Rock Radio with your host, Bob Bannister, reminding you that this is where we talk rock because that's how we roll. And joining us this time, another band from Australia. I don't know what it is, guys. You guys are just on fire as of late. We've got Steven Campbell, bass and vocals, and Veronica Campbell, lead guitar from the band Avalanche. Welcome to the show, guys.
Hey, thanks so much for having us. We really appreciate it.
It is so cool to be able to do stuff like this. You know, you guys, it's your lunchtime on Sunday, and here I am getting ready to go to bed on a Saturday night. It's just crazy.
Yeah, it's like we're basically on our complete own down here.
But you know what? Being on your own is really cool because you guys are coming up with some really, really amazing rock, including the band Avalanche. Tell us the story of the band, guys.
Yeah, well, it kind of started with me and our drummer. I went to high school with his sister, so we kind of met through there. And yeah, I found out he played drums, and then we just got together and we'd jam on like AC/DC, Rose Tattoo, Airborne kind of covers back in the day. And yeah, for about after a year, we were like, we should start a band. We were hitting almost 18, and he was 16 at the time. So yeah, we started getting a few people together and started playing anywhere that would have us. And eventually we found Steve and Arthur, our rhythm guitarist, and yeah, we haven't stopped since.
Never look back.
Awesome. That is amazing. And I love the one quote that you have on your website. A 4-piece hard rock band from Western Sydney playing short, fast, and loud, no bull Aussie rock. That's
it.
That's very succinct.
Famous motto is it no ballads, no bullshit.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what I do on my radio show. No ballads. It's a strictly no ballad show, straight ahead in your face. If it doesn't have a 4/4 time, forget about it.
Just rock. That's it.
Absolutely. And your latest single, Armed to the Teeth, got to say, I'm loving that one. Very, very reminiscent of a band you mentioned a few seconds ago, AC/DC.
Yeah. Well, that one's that's a riff I've kind of had since I was probably like 15 or 16. I've had that riff for ages, and I've never really like worked on it as much as I probably should have. And then I think last year I started working on it a bit more, and I brought it into the guys, and we had this idea for like Armed to the Teeth. We wanted to write like an anthemic kind of song, and Steve put lyrics to it, and we put it all together.
Yeah, it's funny how a song you can have like a riff. Oh, it can come together in 15 minutes sometimes, but then sometimes you can have a riff that just sits there for years on end before you actually figure out where it's supposed to be and what it's supposed to be doing. And I gotta say, it's probably like our biggest sort of calling card song, you know, something to fill out the speakers and fill out the room and get everyone chanting. And yeah, it's sort of like we're here sort of now.
Yeah.
I like that. That's a great way to describe it, to fill out the speakers. I think I'm going to steal that if you don't mind. But being a band from Australia, get a lot of comparisons to AC/DC. I know a lot of bands here in Canada, you know, that we either get, or they either get, oh, are you guys like into Rush or Triumph or Tragically Hip? It's got to be the same for you guys.
Oh man, absolutely. Like I think even if we were playing like indie pop music, we would still probably get put up against AC/DC. But no, I mean, we love it. Like obviously they're our main inspiration. So like I think the way I look at it is if someone puts you up against, say, oh, you know, that song sounds a bit like AC/DC, or you guys sound very inspired by AC/DC, in my mind it's like they're like one of the best bands in the world. So like that's kind of what you should be aiming for.
And I mean, it's very like Australian sort of centric as well, that kind of sound. And obviously we're trying to do our own thing with it, and I guess we're still figuring that out because we're still a pretty young band. But that is sort of the Australian sound. So, you know, you can't stray too far, I guess.
No, and you know, the guys from AC/DC have got to be doing something right. I mean, look at Angus still jumping across the stage at what, 70 something now, you know.
Exactly.
So would fans expect to see if they came to see Avalanche live? What's your live show like?
We pride ourselves on a pretty high energy, like we said, no bullshit rock and roll show. You know, it's very like party rock, very like energetic, running around, getting into the crowd, getting onto the bar every now and then, you know, like
lots of headbanging,
lots of
moshing.
sweats, lots of dancing, sometimes a little bit of blood.
I would like to say blood, sweat, and beers.
And yes, plenty of beers.
There you go. There you go. And I got to say, Veronica, you are a part of a growing wave. We're seeing a lot of female musicians coming to prominence in the world of rock now. How does it feel to be riding the crest of that wave?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I definitely have like inspirations that are female, like Ryder Says from Nashville Pussy, Amy from Amel and the Sniffers. So it's always good to like see that kind of representation. So yeah, I'm glad that I could hopefully do that for other people as well. And
especially in rock and metal music nowadays, like it's always been such a man sort of centric genre of music, which isn't the worst thing, but it's good to see that, you know, we're starting to get more and more females interested into it, and more female superstars, I should say.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, who is the primary songwriter in the band, would you say?
Well, we generally take it on like a basis, like song by song basis. Like sometimes we will all have like bits and pieces of like a fully fledged song. But I would say the probably at the moment, like 80% of the songs coming from Veronica and Ryan,
yeah.
Which is surprising considering Ryan is the drummer. But man, he can play some goddamn riffs.
I think with Ryan and I have probably known each other for the longest, and we, you know, listen to all the same stuff. We're pretty like in tune with like riffs and that. So yeah. Whereas like Steve and Arthur, for instance, while they love this music too, they came from like other backgrounds as well. So yeah.
We do still we put our influence in every now and then. Just recently finished writing one of our new songs that was pretty much written completely by me, which is going to be on the next album, and I'm pretty proud of that. So I think yeah, it's definitely a song by song basis, but probably leaning more towards Veronica and Ryan.
He does most of the lyrics.
Oh yeah, I do have lyrics.
There you go. But we're seeing a lot of up and coming artists now just putting out singles instead of going the route of the album. Is that the way you see the music industry going in the next little while?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean,
yes and no, yeah.
Kind of for us, like where we are, like sort of being a local band and that, like the worst thing is putting like your heart, your soul, and all of your finances into like a full length album, dropping it, and then, you know, only having like a year or two to sort of capitalize on it. So it definitely works the best side, because it's what we're doing at the moment. We just really single, and really just build up the hype behind that release as much as we possibly can, and capitalize on it.
But saying that, we are eventually leading into an album. I guess an album is always what we kind of wanted to do, even though, like you said, it's kind of more centered on singles now. So yeah, like Steve was saying, we're hoping to do a bunch of singles and then eventually an album, including some of those singles and some new ones as well. So yeah.
I think this year is probably the most release-centered year that we have had so far. The past 2 or 3 years, we've been sort of averaging like one song a year, which has been good for us. But
and yeah, it's just because we've played so much. Like we focus kind of more on playing, I guess, than releases. But this year we're focused on releases.
Yeah. With the whole, we've got a bit of more of a team behind us now, like a manager, a booking agent, and all that. So we're really focusing on getting a lot more songs out there.
And I've noticed too that I am drawing a lot of parallels between Australia and Canada. Like a lot of my band friends that are in bands in the States, you know, they can go and they can play a bunch of cities within a couple weeks time. Whereas Australia, Canada, cities are spread far apart. You got to spend a couple days traveling. That's got to wreak a lot of havoc too.
Absolutely.
I mean, we still haven't been to the western part of Australia, because that's like
it's pretty much like it's like a 4 or 5 hour plane ride. And if you want to drive,
it's like 2 or 3 days.
It's like 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, it's like Canada.
Drive because we bring all our amps and stuff, because you can't bring that on the plane. So yeah, we haven't made the trade. The furthest we've gone is like South Australia, which is like that side of South. But yeah,
right.
The East Coast, kind of like up and down all the time. But
yeah, it's definitely crazy how far apart everything is.
We did drive actually like almost 24 hours like straight to festival, like northern Australia. So yeah.
Actually, wasn't that like 2 days? Oh no, it was 24 hours. Yeah, because we split it up into 2 days. Yeah. That was probably the craziest trip, but it was really good for us. That was when we won the competition for Early Beach Festival of Music.
Yeah, we want this big comp, and we'll be like going back there in November, but flying this time.
Oh, there you go.
We're playing with bands like Rose Tattoo, if you know them.
Yep.
Thirsty Merc, Jebediah.
Sweet from the UK as well. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Yes. But I'm just witnessing absolutely a revolution. I shouldn't say a revolution, but like just an explosion in Australian rock. Maybe it's just the fact that it's filtering over here to Canada, to North America. I mean, such great bands like Shotgun Mistress, Cicada Stone, Mammal. It just seems like your rock scene right now is just totally on fire.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
man. I've been watching the Southern River Band just kill it
Yes.
in Europe just for the past few months. It's just been awesome to see.
Yeah, I think sort of, I guess since COVID, everything's kind of recovering now, and there's been a bit of an explosion, as you said. So yeah, it's good to be.
And people love this music. Like it's never died in a sense. It's always been there. So it's just good to see that more bands are starting to get behind it and starting to push that sound even further.
Yeah, we're definitely in a rock revolution, I would say.
Definitely.
Or revival anyway. So if I was to come over to your house and I was to start digging through your music collection, what's one album for each of you that I would be surprised to come up and say, guys, what's this?
Surprise! I don't know. I mean, it's all pretty typical stuff you can guess. I don't know. I think I'd say blues. Like we have a bit of a vinyl collection. We have a lot of like blues music. Because I personally really like that stuff. Like I guess one that comes to mind is I have the version that Muddy Waters did with Rolling Stone, and he has like a DVD included as well.
Okay.
Yeah, that one maybe.
I've got a few guilty pleasure bands. Like was it last year I went to Good Things and we saw Limp Bizkit. That's probably one of my biggest guilty pleasure band out there. It's such a band that you're like, I know that like I probably shouldn't like it, but oh my god, it's so funny. It's so good.
I thought of another one. I actually have Johnny Cash, like Folsom Prison Blues on vinyl as well. So.
Oh, hey, you can't knock Johnny Cash. I spent probably 10 years in country radio, and Johnny's a god.
Well, 100%. No,
I'm not into country music, but I do like Johnny a lot. So.
Yeah, but he had a rock and roll soul, so you can't fault the man on that. I mean, when he walks across the stage of the Grand Ole Opry and flips him the bird, there you go.
I agree. Yeah.
There's an old country Australian artist called Slim Dusty.
Okay.
And my grandpa loved him. I used to listen to him all the time growing up. And yeah, that's always been sort of at the back of my mind. Good old Slim Dusty.
All right. So before we wrap this up, I like to do a little thing I call this or that, a series of rapid fire questions, multiple choice. And you tell me this or that. We're going to start off coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Tea.
DC or Marvel?
Marvel.
Yeah, Marvel.
Riding roller coasters or riding dirt bikes?
Roller coasters.
Oh,
Neither of us.
I'm not an adrenaline.
Spicy hot wings or spicy hot curry?
Wings.
Curry?
Really?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Cricket or soccer?
Soccer.
Neither. I'm not really a sports fan.
You're speaking to Aussies, we play rugby.
Yes. And then finally, the big question that's dividing everybody here: pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Yes. She loves her pineapple on pizza. It's like her favorite pizza.
I mean, we call it Hawaiian pizza or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, that's like the biggest pizza flavor in Australia. So I don't know. I guess.
Really?
It's literally always pepperoni Hawaiian. Pepperoni Hawaiian.
All right, guys, this has been a whole lot of fun. I want to thank both of you guys, Steven and Veronica, for joining us here on this edition of Rock Talk. Give us your website, your socials.
Our handle is just Avalanche Band Rock on all the social media, and our website's avalanchebandrock.com, so you can find all our links and videos and everything there too.
Merch, everything.
Excellent. And what do you guys got coming up in the very near future?
We're currently in the middle of the Arms of the Teeth tour at the moment. We're having a little break this weekend, but we have got another 3 shows over the next 3 weeks.
And hoping to do another single, another tour. We got that festival we're telling you about as well in Northern Queensland. And hopefully next year we're keen to do an album and maybe do some more international touring, UK, Europe, Canada even.
Hopefully end up in Canada.
Yeah.
Our last tour manager for Japan was actually Canadian, so he was telling us heaps about the Canadian scene. It was awesome.
Right on. Glenn was mentioning the same thing about that too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
I think he had the same tour manager as us when we
Okay.
went to Japan just before him as well. Yeah.
That is very cool. Well, guys, thank you very much for joining us on this edition of Rock Talk. And hey, thank you for joining us, and we'll catch you again next time.